Hey there, this is Rising, and we finally got the patch notes for the upcoming Season 7 of COD Mobile. And as usual, we'll be going through every single adjustment in great detail to see whether they're actually impactful or not. There are some really interesting ones up here, so definitely stay tuned. And starting off with the assault rifles, the good old M4 got a bunch of adjustments. First off, its third damage phase is increased from 20 to 22, which doesn't change its base shots to kill. However, its upper torso multiplier is improved from 1.1 times to 1.2 times. This buff only matters in the third damage range, where if you mix 3 upper torso shots with that new damage value, you will be able to get a 4-shot kill, but that's very unlikely to happen. Its base bullet spread also received slight improvements, which is nice. And finally, the handling and mobility penalties to its Ranger barrel have also been reduced across the board. Even with all of these changes, the M4 unfortunately will still remain as a bottom-tier weapon that delivers no practical utility and has nothing to stand apart in the current state of the meta. Up next, the M16's Wildfire now improves our mobility values across the board. Its strike stock and tactical foregrip now also improves our vertical and horizontal recoil by 10% respectively, which means it'll be a little easier to control. But just like the M4, the full auto M16 serves no practical utility, as there are a ton of better options to use instead. Up next, we have a really big change, and this is to the ICR-1. Its maximum damage phase is increased by 1, and this means with the correct setup, now it can 3-tap within its maximum damage range very consistently if you hit the torso or the lower arms. The mobility penalties of the macro mag are also reduced, and combining all of these together, the ICR can potentially replace the DRH as the best 3-shot weapon, and I'm really excited to see how it plays out in the next season. Next up, the horizontal recoil of the KN-44 has been reduced, although the value is unspecified as of now. After that, with the large caliber ammo on the HVK, you now get 30 rounds instead of 28, and now it improves the lower arm multipliers from 1.4 times to 1.46 times. This means now you can 3-tap in the second damage range provided all of your shots land the lower arms, which isn't something that you'll see happening all that often, but it's a possibility nonetheless. The HVK is already a top-tier assault rifle, and with this buff, it'll be very slightly more consistent in its second damage range, alongside having 2 more rounds to begin with. Moving on, the maximum damage range of the Grau is increased by 2 meters, while its second damage range is increased by 5 meters. Its bullet spread is also improved by a slight amount, and with both of these changes, the Grau will be a bit more efficient in those mid to longer ranges. Next up, we have another big change, and this is to the BP-50. The lower torso multiplier of the 7.62x54R rounds is transferred to the rapid barrel, which means now it opens up the possibility of running the weapon with 30 Russian short, along with an added multiplier bonus with the rapid barrel. However, the biggest change is to the 7.62x54R rounds, which now has an additional 20% boost to all of our damage ranges. And this means with the correct setup, you will be able to achieve a 5-shot all the way till 48 meters, which is excellent for its rate of fire. And even if you don't run 7.62x54R, you can still achieve a 4-shot till 13 meters with 30 Russian short. In either ways, the BP-50 will be an excellent off-meta flex AR, and I'm really looking forward to it in the upcoming update. Next, we have the Vargo, whose base bullet velocity is improved by 13% to 880 meters per second, along with an improvement to its upper torso multiplier by an additional 8%. Also, its 7.62x54R rounds no longer penalizes bullet velocity, which is nice. I don't remember the last time I used the Vargo, and personally I care the least about these changes, as its recoil will still be a major limiting factor for this weapon. And for the final assault rifle, we have the BAL-27, which caught its second nerf following the removal of the high ground grip, and its second and third damage ranges are reduced by 2 meters and 4 meters respectively. These adjustments are extremely minor, and even with them, it'll still remain as the best flex AR in the game. Moving on to the SMGs, we only have one entry here, and this is the ISO. First off, its third damage phase is increased by 1, which doesn't change any of our shots to kill, and its first and second damage ranges are increased by 1 and 2 meters respectively, which are also very minor. However, the biggest change we have here is to the Nightshade barrel. Now it improves our upper torso multiplier by 10%, but more importantly, it completely removes our negative leg multipliers, which is a huge deal as it was one of the weapons with which you'd get punished heavily by landing leg shots. In my eyes at least, this is the biggest buff in this patch, as now it can be a really solid alternative to the Switchblade X9 with better time to kill over range, alongside having much more forgiving multipliers and easier recoil, at the cost of a slightly worse mobility and hit flinch. The ISO has always been one of my all-time favorite SMGs, and I can clearly see the potential of it being a top contender to the current meta. Pretty excited to see how it plays out next season. Now, for the LMGs, again, we have a singular entry here, and this is the DP-27, whose base bullet velocity is improved by 20% to 780 meters per second, and its 7.62x54R 105-round pans also improves its bullet velocity by 10%. Bullet velocity was definitely something that was holding this gun back in those longer range encounters, and after this buff, it'll be very much viable in those ranges, alongside having an exceptional time to kill up close. As for shotguns, the HS-2126 got a rate of fire improvement from 469 rounds per minute to 500 rounds per minute, but in return, its burst delay is increased from 383 milliseconds to 400 milliseconds, which wasn't at all necessary in my opinion at least. Its range profile also got very slight improvements across the board, increasing every single drop-off point by a singular meter, which is something, I guess. Moving on to the Marksman Rifle, the SKS got a massive rate of fire improvement from 363 rounds per minute to 380 rounds per minute, which, just for reference, is very close to that of the Type 63 with the rapid fire or strike team barrel. Its base ADS time is also reduced by 20 milliseconds, and combined with its forgiving 2-tap potential and hit scan nature, I do think it can very well be the more reliable option than the Type 63 and may eventually rise up to be the best marksman rifle, as you can kit it up in so many different ways based on your requirement. And finally, we have SO-14, which received its final nail in the coffin, as its first and second damage ranges are reduced by 5 meters and 10 meters respectively. On top of that, its head multiplier is also reduced by 10%, and this means you won't be able to one-tap head beyond its new maximum damage range. However, on the flip side, its wildfire perk received a massive 80% damage range improvement, which overcompensates for the reduction to its base ranges by more than double the amount. This means the base semi-auto weapon will now be pretty much obsolete, especially after the rise of the SKS. However, the full auto variant will be even more effective at range compared to its current version. Now, for the secondaries, the nail gun no longer has negative leg multipliers, making it more consistent for the 5 people who actually use it. It also got a slight range buff, which is nice for the same 5 people who are still committed to making it work. And finally, another obsolete launcher, the SMRS, got improvements to its ADS time, swap time, as well as its damage and splash radius. So if you've been waiting for a reason to use it, well, here's your excuse. And that wraps up with all the weapon balancing details, and for the other miscellaneous changes, I don't want to go through every single one of them in details, so feel free to pause the video and have a look on them yourself. And there you have it. That's finally going to wrap up on the upcoming balancing changes for the Season 7 of COD Mobile. This is by far the biggest patch we've received in a while, and I'm really excited how the guns play out next season, especially the ICR and the ISO, which are arguably the winners of this patch, and can no doubt be excellent options in the current meta. However, these are changes much early on the season, and if anything gets added on top of these, I'll be updating them in the pinned comment of this video. But now I'd love to hear what you guys think about this patch. What are some of your favorite guns that you're looking forward to use in the next season? Are you excited for anything in particular? Let me know all those in the comments down below. As you saw, I didn't provide builds for any of the weapons mentioned here, so if you want builds, then join my Discord server. Also, if you want to support me, then feel free to become a channel member and gain exclusive perks at a very cheap rate. And as always, if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe as we're very close to 2,000 subs, and leave a like on this video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.